All right, we are on. We good?
There we go.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Hello, friends. Welcome to Doing Better News. I am Oliver Ox. This is the show when we talk about what's going on locally. We are right here in Lawrence, Massachusetts at our studio. Very excited to be here. Joined by my partner in all things local. Beth is here. Hi, Beth.
Hello.
How are you today?
Doing well. Can't complain too much,
Good,
but
good.
we'll get into that. We'll
Yeah.
start complaining later.
We'll complain. Oh, I got plenty of complaining to do. So, all right, cool. So we got a few local stories we want to chat about. We're going to talk quickly about Hampton Beach tourism. I got a quick note on local police and facial recognition, which is going to tie into our Palantir talk later on in the show, and then or in the next show. And then we're going to talk about the big issues that are going on this week, or a couple things. One, some local Pride celebration. So we'll chat about that so you guys know where to go and do your Pride celebrating. And then the big local issue right now is our grocery stores. We're going to talk about Demula's Market Basket and the drama that's going on there. So good stuff. First things first, let's chat about Hampton Beach real quick. So one thing that's going on with Hampton Beach this year is they've noticed a very sharp decline in tourism. Those of you who are not from the area, the state of New Hampshire has like this much beach. We're a big state, and we sort of go like this, and we just stick out in the ocean this much, and we got Hampton and Rye and a couple of Portsmouth. What do we got? About 20 miles of coastline, I think.
So I ran it. I ran the length. It's 13.3.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, we got a half marathon of coastline. Not a ton of coast. And one of the main tourist spot is Hampton Beach. It's all the arcades and the candy stuff and the t-shirts and the whatever. In New England, we have a pretty short, legit summer. You're talking basically now, mid-June till
August 15th about?
yeah. If we're lucky, maybe you get the first week of September. Is summer, but it's a pretty tight season. So a place like Hampton Beach, they're pretty much going to make all their money in 4 months, right? I would imagine the average Hampton Beach business makes 80% of its money, in that little tight window of time, and then there's not a ton of opportunities. Well, unfortunately, the main source of tourism for this area, what do we call it? The French Canadian Riviera is what we'll occasionally refer to this as. Are Canadians. Lots of people from Quebec come down. Lots of people from the other the east of Canada come down, and they come do the tourist summer stuff. They'll come camp or rent a house or whatever and spend the week at the beach. But with all the tariff stuff and the Trump squaring off with the PM of Canada about tariff-y related issues, lots of the typical Trumpian trash talk, posturing, art of the deal, whatever. How depending on what color hat you wear, you have a different name for it. But it's not great for friendliness, and some people are talking about a 50% reduction in Canadian tourism, which for us in New Hampshire, this is a big deal. So this one hits pretty close to home, and it's a good and unfortunate reminder that there's only so much you can ignore politics. Like, I would much rather stick my head in the sand and pretend there were no politics, because your mental health would probably be a lot better.
Yes.
But real life is real life, and this is politics, global national politics that are going to affect people that we know. The people that you know, or people that, for friends of people you know, will have their summer jobs, summer businesses, etc., impacted by this. So it's unfortunate. And of course, the poor French Canadians who can't come down and
Spend their money.
Yeah.
We want your money. We don't particularly... but we want your money.
Yeah, exactly.
And I can say that. It's like, how much French is in here?
So anyway, that's thing one I thought was kind of interesting. We have, so one of the, I would say, I think my number one fear, the thing I'm most negatively concerned about for the future of humanity, certainly for the future of democracy and freedom, those concepts, is AI and the surveillance state. We've seen the technology, it makes things possible that just weren't possible 20 years ago. If you wanted to put up a camera on a street light, that was going to cost you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. The quality of the stream that you got from that camera would be mid. You would have to have a long wire from said camera to wherever you were going to be processing that information, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And now, for like a nickel, you can get a HD camera and throw it pretty much wherever you want. If you look at what's happened in China over the last 20 years, in public, they have cameras pretty much everywhere for their surveillance state. And it looks like that is coming to America in lots of ways. We're going to talk about that a lot later with Palantir and the huge amounts of money they're getting from the federal government. But it also affects us here on the local level. Police body cameras came in, and most of us were very happy about police body cameras coming in because there's an ability to keep accountability for police, because so many of them, I don't want to say that. There had been I don't want to say so many of the police, so many incidents had happened in which people were victimized by police, and it was, we wanted the body cameras. But the body cameras also mean there's another piece of data there that is being collected at all times. So I think that is particularly scary, and it's been confirmed, I did a little research on this, that local police in Massachusetts are using body camera and facial recognition software. So it's not just having the cameras are all good. If we only had the cameras and everywhere, well, there's limited utility for surveillance there, because what you need is an eye on every camera, right? You got to have the screen for every camera, and someone watching be like, oh, that guy's doing the bad thing. Let's go get that guy. Except now we have AI. And what AI can do is all that filtering. AI can do the facial recognition. It can, if you put a camera up where people are walking by, AI can go, nothing, ping, there's that guy you want, et cetera, et cetera. And that ability is in the police cameras as well. New Hampshire, as of yet, has not, supposedly it's illegal for New Hampshire to use the facial recognition software in policing, but it's not in Mass, and it's documented that it's been happening. So there's a federal level at which this is happening, but we have differences in states, and I think it's very, very important for those of you who are involved in any state politics to get out and make your voice heard. In New Hampshire, I think we're live free or die. I think we have a little bit more of a leaning towards being paranoid about government overreach. In Mass, it doesn't seem like that's been happening. I don't think it's related, but Mass is also where we've seen so many of these really brutal ICE arrests as well. And this is the exact kind of stuff that is why we should be scared of having this level of surveillance. So I just want to throw that up there as well in the local news. And I'm going to follow up on that more, because this is going to be, as this technology becomes more ubiquitous and more accepted societally, something I want to keep an eye on, because I don't want to turn into China. Well, and what's going to happen is we're not going to turn into China, because China's got free healthcare and fast trains. So we're going to be China without the free healthcare and the fast trains. We're going to be broke-ass China at this rate. Like, we're going to be the third world version of that. And go ahead, Beth.
All right, so I'm going to do a little PSA then. So we're going to completely change our roles, because usually I am the centrist, left-leaning, and you're usually more the anarchist.
Yep, that sounds about right.
We're going to switch roles right now.
All right.
All right. So facial recognition has some loopholes, and they have been discovered by China. So have you noticed whenever you've seen videos with people who are from China or Taipei or Japan, they always are wearing their face coverings well before COVID. And in fact, during COVID, they started putting laws saying they couldn't wear their face covering. It was not because of public health. If you cover, so facial recognition, so I'm taking my glasses off. My facial recognition on my phone does not recognize me unless I'm wearing this pair or a separate pair of glasses. If I wear any other pair of glasses, the facial recognition doesn't work. And that is because facial recognition software is just taking the measurements from here, here, here. This portion of your face. That's it. So, if you are wearing anything that blocks or impedes any of these measurement points, AI can't do shit.
Interesting.
So, those birth control glasses, that you are so vain on wearing, so you're getting LASIK. And no, just wear the glasses.
I like it. Well, especially now because lovely Mr. Trump recently announced that he wants to make it illegal to wear a mask at a protest.
Yep.
Now, strange that we would have ICE wearing masks while doing their federally, funded duties, but you as a citizen can't be out there in a mask. So, very interesting.
So yeah, face masks work, glasses work, sunglasses work.
Interesting.
Just,
interesting. Yeah.
Take a few cues.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to step up my sunglasses game.
Yeah, makeup. No one knows who the hell you are if you're dressed up like a clown. I've
That's
been making
true.
jokes about that. It's like, why do all these people and they do clown stuff when they're doing ridiculous things that are? It's like, what you're gonna take away Krusty? You don't know who's under that makeup.
It's true. Des, you got something to add?
Yeah, this is a little odd. So, the surveillance state thing, right? I love video games. I'm pretty sure you're well aware of that.
I'm aware.
So, there's this game called Watch Dogs 2. In this game, there is a company called CTOS. They basically are the surveillance state, and they have like cameras everywhere with facial recognition, and like it just kind of reminded me of that because with all that, and then with that they like go out there and like do arrest people because of that, and they also have like a thing where, which this could be the next step, where they have an AI that like predicts if you're gonna do crimes or not. And I feel
Minority Report.
Yeah,
Book
basically
and a
that.
movie.
Yeah, so I'm saying that that might be within our future, which would be insane. Because that seems like.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that all that stuff, and what's the thing that you did point out there as well is that it's a company doing it in your video game. Well, it's the same in real life because this is the wonderful thing the government does is they love to contract out things that they know that are against the Constitution. I was going to say things they know they're not supposed to do. Let's just call it what it is, unconstitutional. Mm-hmm. So during after we got really upset with our military during Iraq and Afghanistan for doing many horrendous violations of human rights, that's when, and what's the name of the company? The military contractors,
Blackwater.
Eric Prince, thank you. Blackwater got all these contracts. Well, we'll have a contractor do it. That way it's not the government violating your rights, it's some other company. And like, oh, we didn't realize they were doing that. Naughty Blackwater, we're going to cancel your contract, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You always want to have one degree of separation between yourself and the crimes. All right, let's talk about something a little more positive. We got two more positive things, or at least certainly more interesting. Market Basket, Demoulas. If you're not from this area, you're missing out. I gotta tell you. And if you are from this area, you know what I'm talking about. I travel a lot for work, and I go to lots of grocery stores. We have the best grocery store chain in New England, and I don't think it's close. Demoulas is started about 100 years ago by Greek immigrants and turned into Market Basket, and they've been growing fairly rapidly as long as I've lived in this country, as long as I've been here. I remember going to my first Market Basket in 1989, and they've been growing and growing. The reason they're so successful, in my humble opinion, is their prices. They do a great job of getting the best parts of the cheap grocery stores and the expensive grocery stores. So like if you go into an Aldi or another cheap grocery store, your selection is very limited. Your options for organic, very limited. Your options for ethnic, very limited. That's not true at Market Basket. Market Basket they're almost always very large grocery stores. They have really good produce sections. They mostly have delis and fish markets as well. They almost always have a fairly large ethnic section that is decently responsive to the local area. You can usually get everything you need in a Market Basket trip. They also have good organic sections. If you get vegan options, they got all that stuff. It's a really pretty good overall grocery store. And the prices are pretty much the lowest around. Yeah. They're very consistently the most affordable grocery store. The other thing that's nice about Market Basket, there are zero self-checkouts. Their employment practices, for the most part, are pretty good. no company's perfect. Not everyone, it's not like everyone working at Market Basket drives in a Ferrari, but they've been providing good jobs to people in the area for many, many years. There's tons of people who make entire careers as Market Basket employees. It's a good employer. It's a good store, and it's owned by the Demoulas family. It is not. We're not sending our money to a large corporation. In 2014, there was a big hubbub because RDT Demoulas, who is the sort of local hero in the story, he's the one. He's named after the founder, and from who I think his great grandfather, his grandfather, and there was he was basically fired in 2014, I believe,
By his brother.
By his brother, Arthur S. Demula, I think it is, something like that, and. And basically there was a walkout. All the employees walked out, and not everybody, the vast majority of people from the area, including myself, stopped shopping at Market Basket. What was it, about a month? How long did it last? I think it was less than a month.
It was a month.
Yeah, something around that area. And they caved, and they put RDT back in charge, and they sort of righted the ship. What happened was Arthur S. sold his portion, I believe, to RDT.
So that RDT now owns 51% of the company. So that's actually why he's in trouble now. So when that all happened, he sold the parts. He now owns 51%. And if you own 51% of any company, you own the company. There is no way for other members to come against you. So he has 3 other siblings who are still on the board. The sisters.
Yeah.
And they have also appointed shareholders who work for the sisters. But even with all that combined, it's still only 49%. So they can never, ever go against Artie. So Artie, the reason why this is a big hubbub, one of the rumors, I don't know if it's because I read it and then I can't find the story again, was that when they had profits last year, they didn't pay back the shareholders. He gave bonuses to employees. And that made them a little upset. And then the most recent is he has named that his 2 children will get his shares and will run the company after he steps away. He has 51%. He can name whoever he wants to be the general manager of the store. So he has named his children instead of his nieces and nephews. So that is why they are launching an investigation against him about business practices because he unilaterally, without the board's approval, named his successors, which you own 51% of the company. You can do whatever the damn well you please.
Yes, and they accused him also, right, because he's on administrative leave right now.
Yeah.
And they accused him of basically trying to plan another walkout in his defense.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any credible things to back that up. The reason I think this is interesting is because what's happening right here runs against the common. What he's doing is outside of the norm of the way corporations work in this country. Mm-hmm. So there was a lawsuit years and years ago that was brought by a company's shareholders, and what basically codified is this: that a publicly traded company's only or number one requirement is to make profits for the shareholders, mm-hmm. and that's the job of a company. This is a very one-sided and I would say short-sighted way of looking at this, and I think it's responsible for the landscape in which private equity and large corporations are really thriving. The banking side has a lot to do with it too, their access to capital, but the fact that we're in this paradigm in which profit is the only thing that matters. And remember what profit is, it's all about growing profit. It's always about more profit than last year, which I would argue is a fundamentally unsustainable way of doing business. You can't always be growing. We live on an earth that is only 29,000 miles in circumference, and it ain't getting any bigger. We're not getting any, there's no more iron, there's no more gold, there's no more cobalt. Those things are effectively, for our experience as human beings, those are finite resources. So if we have a model in which you always have to be growing, that doesn't really add up. And what I find really hope-inspiring about the story is that basically what RDT Demoulas is saying is that the most important thing is not making his shareholders rich. He's, again, maybe I'm lionizing and making him more of a hero than he is, but at least what I feel like he stands for is a business that is making money and they're still in the black, but offers employment and a real service to the community. And that's what Market Basket does. We have access to better quality groceries at better prices than almost anybody else in the country. And our kids have access to good jobs where they can go be cashiers and carriage pushers and baggers and all those things. They do a great job supporting people with disabilities in those roles. The vibe of a Market Basket is just fundamentally different. Everyone, and this is something when I'm sure kids who are going to go work, they're like, I don't have to dress up in a shirt and look all nice. But those kids all look professional. They don't, all the employees, I shouldn't say just those kids, but all the employees look professional. They're not on their phones. It's just, it's this high standard. And that's all purposeful. You don't get good quality, consistent good prices, and that and a place that's good to work for when the only thing you care about is profit. And I'm just really hopeful that this will end up falling. That RDT will be successful again, because a company is a great way to improve the world if you do it correctly. If you identify a need that people have and you can provide for that, you can fill that need and make a couple bucks in the meantime, that's awesome. And that's brought literally billions of people out of poverty in the last couple hundred years. Is that exact, I see a need, I'm going to go fill the need and make a couple bucks while I'm at it. That is not what capitalism is doing right now. That's not what most corporations are doing. Most corporations are saying, I'm going to find some money in this, and I don't care what happens, I'm going to get the money out of the situation. And it's vulture capitalism, and we need more people like this standing up. And I'm more than happy to not shop at my favorite grocery store as long as that takes. So I'm hoping that RDT wins out.
All right, so some more PSAs on this then.
Yes.
All right, so where do you get your groceries? Because I got to tell you, the thing about Market Basket that makes me most concerned is Market Basket goes into markets that no one else will. There are no Shaws in Lawrence. There's no Stop and Shops in Lawrence. They're not in Methuen. There's a Whole Foods in Andover. Andover is a very rich community. They still have grocery stores. But if you're in Revere, if you are in Lawrence, if you are in any of these other communities, the only people who are there are Market Baskets. In fact, there's several Market Baskets, but there's nothing else.
Yeah.
So, while I absolutely adore the Lawrence Market Basket, it is like Candyland for a person who makes food from scratch for different international foods. Can't go there. So where do you go? There's Caribbean Market. Caribbean Market is located on Broadway in Methuen. You just cross the line, so it's right on the line. It's owned by the same family that owns I cannot pronounce this right. Sorry. Anglo.
Do your best.
La Fruteria.
Beautiful.
It's the same family. They were originally a butcher shop with some produce. La Fruteria, I believe, still exists. It is still very popular in the Lawrence community. Go there. If you can't find what you need, if you just go across the park, Manchester Street Park, into the shopping district with the new Starbucks, Caribbean Market, butcher, dairy. I would not get frozen vegetables there. Their freezer is kumsi kumsa. But if you need bulk dry goods, that is an excellent resource. The local markets, Lawrence Meat Market doesn't exist anymore, but there are still meat markets that don't have that exact name. They're run by small families that sell milk and meat. Then there is American Food Basket. Power 800, I want royalties for that. That was hard.
Where's American Food Basket?
American Food Basket. It's one of the sponsors for the Power 800, their local radio station for Lawrence. Okay. They're located on the Salem-Methuen line, across the street from Michael's Craft Store. They are also a local grocer that is trying to support the Latino community. So if they are, give them business.
Nice.
there's that. There's Halal Brothers. Halal Brothers is in the little strip mall that Joanne Fabrics used to be. It's actually right next door to where Joanne's used to be. Joanne's just went out of business. Moment of silence.
Thank you, private equity.
But they are a Lebanese food supplier, and they also do stuff for diabetes. So,
Oh, nice.
again,
Excellent
if you want
resources.
dried or canned goods, they're very good. Produce kumsi kumsa, and they do halal butcher. So if you're looking for that, that's available. And then, unfortunately, I had to go to Butcher Boy today, and it's not as bad as I thought. I was really emotionally getting ready for the pain. I bought half a gallon of milk, 2 boxes of cereal, a snack for my mother, and 4 bananas, and it was $21. That is still very, very expensive, and I'm very lucky that I could afford it. But it is there.
Yeah, I mean that's not. I was expecting it to be worse, but that's not horrendous. I'm glad that you were able to find those other resources. It's great to be able to support this movement without going to a Shaw's or a Hannaford or one of those other ones. So I think that's great.
Oh yeah, there are those, aren't there? They're just not where you live.
Yes. No. Right. Exactly.
I'm trying to keep the money in town.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. No. And it's always better to go smaller rather than go bigger. So thank you for that. It's also Pride Month, my birthday month. You have some updates on some local pride.
Camera, I am.
You
All
are
right,
number 3.
Yes, our tech guy went in to go let our next guest out, so I'm now handling the switchboard while we're doing this. But okay,
Multi-talented Beth.
so yesterday was Haverhill's Pride Parade. I went in and escorted my mother so my mother could go march, and I went and hid and got coffee, and then came out to get pictures of her as she marched, and then hid
Nice.
again. So downtown Haverhill had their very first Pride ever.
Really? I didn't know that. First Pride.
Yeah, I
Wow.
mean, and I had to keep my mouth shut because with how hard it was for, there was a establishment called Friends Landing. I don't know if
I remember Friends Landing. Yeah.
and how he was forced to close and he was pushed out of the community. So he didn't pass away. He's still alive and well. He just
Really?
got pushed out of the community.
Wow.
And they took his property and they leveled his
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
club, and that club is still a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
They've never been able to build it, but they just wanted him out.
Wow.
And then some of the people from the community that were part of Friends decided to start their own establishment. It was called Urge. It was originally above the Chit Chat.
Yep.
And then they got pushed
I
out
remember
of
that.
there.
Yep.
And so the owner got a space in Bradford, and the city actually made things so bad for her with trying to get a building permit, trying
Yeah.
to get fire permits, that holy moly, we're getting our phones are going crazy. You go check that.
I will check that.
That she had to just give the business to another family, and that family had trouble because they were from Lawrence, and so the community was giving them trouble.
Really?
And they had to shut down, and it's now a kids play zone. This was a luxury nightclub that got built in Haverhill. It is now a kid zone.
Wow.
From there, which was back in 2011, to having our first Pride in 2025, that's actually amazing growth for that community.
Yeah.
Lawrence had their first Pride last year. It was very small. It was on the Canal Street Art
Yep.
District. The same group that did that last year is coming back. They will be doing a Pride Festival on June 28th, Saturday, at the Lawrence State Heritage Park.
Cool.
Lawrence Heritage State Park. So the place I was doing the
yoga.
yoga workshops,
Yep, yep.
they're renting that space out to be doing a Pride Festival. So rain, shine, no matter what, we're doing this.
Excellent.
It's still
Excellent.
very small, but I'm glad that it's still going on. The third thing is North Shore Pride. It's also on the 28th, downtown Salem. I'm doing that as a shameless promotion because I'm actually one of the dancing performers.
Oh, nice.
For one of the events. Hasn't been fully announced. Once it's out, I will go crazy. But so I'm one of the dancers for one of the events for that Pride event. Downtown Boston is doing them all month, but the big core is going to be this Saturday, June 14th, is going to be the big parade and all the craziness. So if you want big and crazy, go downtown. If you want small, local, Lawrence is on the 28th, as well as downtown Salem, Massachusetts is also on the 28th.
Oh, nice, cool. Lots of good celebrations going on. It's easy to forget how it's not that far back that
No.
things were far less accepting and safe for our gay brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
I feel kind of weird being the one promoting it because very much cis normative. I can't even pronounce it right, but
I don't. But I think that's you don't have to be part of a community to celebrate the people's rights. Right.
Yeah.
Rights are universal.
yeah, rights are universal, and everyone should have the ability to exist and thrive in our community.
Exactly. Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
All right, I'm giving you back control.
Awesome. Well, I think did we lose Des? It's always tough to manage on limited resources, but we're doing our best. I think that's all we got for our local news stories. I think we're oh good, the return of the wonderful Des. Excellent. We're gonna wrap up for now. We'll be back with Sunday Sanity Check. And we have a great interview for later on. All stick around for all that. We'll be right back. Thank you very much, Beth, for being here for our local news.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Engineer Des back there on the ones and twos. And I'm Oliver Rocks. Peace.